Brazil at the center of the chessboard. Why the US fears the silent militarization of the BRICS. Do you believe Brazil could shake the confidence of the United States without firing a single bullet? Then go ahead and comment. In your opinion, what is Brazil's true role in today's geopolitical landscape? Strategic neutrality or bold leadership? Because today's topic might change your entire perspective on the future of global alliances, and on the silent yet powerful role Brazil is beginning to assume. The fear that comes from the South. While mainstream media often portrays Russia as the United States' main antagonist and China as its top economic rival, there is a growing presence in the shadows that's beginning to send chills through the halls of Washington, Brazil. Yes, the South American nation, without nuclear warheads or global military bases, but with a strategic capability that is increasingly bothering US defense planners. The concern has a name: BRICS. What started as an economic proposal, initially formed by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is now expanding with new members such as Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. With this expansion, the bloc carries more weight than just financial interests. It's beginning to take shape as a coalition with deep geopolitical ambitions. And right in the middle of this transformation, Brazil holds a unique and extremely strategic position: the power that doesn't need to shout. While countries like Russia and Iran are viewed as confrontational actors, Brazil exerts a completely different kind of power. Its diplomacy is subtle, based on building bridges instead of walls. Paradoxically, that makes it even more threatening in Washington's eyes. Brazil's ability to navigate between different centers of global power while maintaining a posture of dialogue makes it unpredictable, and therefore valuable. Even more so, its positive image in the international arena gives it a kind of soft power that can be used to legitimize bold moves in reshaping global dynamics, without resorting to threats or sanctions. If Russia breeds suspicion and China sparks anxiety, Brazil walks smiling into the rooms where the world's future is decided, and for that very reason, it might be more effective in pushing systemic change. Is BRICS militarization a reality or a possibility? That's the question keeping American strategic analysts up at night. Is BRICS really turning into something more than just an economic coalition? The answer might not be found in official documents, but rather in what's happening beneath the surface. Since 2022, following the war in Ukraine, Russia has used its position within BRICS as a symbolic shield. Despite heavy Western sanctions, Moscow has shown it is not isolated. In fact, it remains surrounded by influential partners. Iran's entry into the group has only strengthened that perception. After all, Tehran already maintains advanced military cooperation with Moscow, including drones and weaponry used in recent conflicts. China, in turn, regularly conducts joint military exercises with Russia. Add Iran to the mix, and BRICS now contains 3 nations with a high level of military interoperability. This doesn't yet constitute a formal defensive alliance like NATO, but the embryo of an alternative global security system is starting to take shape, and that alone is enough to trigger alarms in Washington. Brazil, weak link or key piece. Amid all this tension, Brazil emerges as the only member of the bloc that still maintains relatively stable ties with the US. But that doesn't mean submission. Brazil has already shown a willingness to work with China on projects involving artificial intelligence, space technology, and energy infrastructure. It has also signed key agreements with Russia in strategic sectors like nuclear energy and cyber defense. Take the Alcantara Launch Center, for example. Ideally located near the equator, it's viewed as a geostrategic gem. While it currently operates under agreements with the US, nothing prevents a future Brazilian government from redirecting its use toward partnerships with other global powers. Imagine, for instance, if this base became part of a BRICS space launch program. Or if Brazil led the development of encrypted communication satellites among member countries. For American strategists, that would be an unacceptable move. The economic war has already begun. But not everything comes down to tanks and rockets. The real battle is unfolding in the economic arena, and here too, Brazil plays a crucial role. For years, BRICS has been discussing the creation of a common currency or at least alternative trade mechanisms to bypass the use of the dollar. The idea is simple yet revolutionary: break the dependence on the American currency in international transactions. In this process, Brazil has shown a willingness to participate. Recent agreements with China, for example, are already being settled in yuan. There are also proposals for local currency exchanges among South American countries, pushed by Brasilia. For the US, this is a direct threat to the core of its global dominance, the dollar as the global standard. Unlike Russia, which openly defies the system, or China, which builds its own parallel structures, Brazil operates in a more discreet way. But its actions could have devastating consequences for the current financial order. Will Brazil disrupt the balance? Brazil's stance is ambiguous, and that ambiguity has been its greatest weapon. It doesn't declare itself an enemy of the West, but it doesn't fully align with it either. It doesn't deny its Latin American identity, but it also positions itself as a global player. This balance, however, may not last forever. If Brazil chooses to deepen its ties with nations that challenge US hegemony, it could mark a turning point. Its active participation in a new multipolar system would be a seal of legitimacy on this transformation, something even China, with all its power, cannot secure on its own. And now? Do you believe Brazil should continue the strategic balancing act, walking the fine line between global blocs? Or do you think it's time for the country to take a clear stand, even if that means tension with Washington? Is BRICS about to become something far bigger than we imagined? And what would the US do if Brazil decided to take things a step further? Leave a comment down below. Let's discuss Brazil's role in this newly forming world together. Because in the end, the wars of the future may not involve bullets, but decisions, alliances, and influence. And Brazil stands right at the center of this historic crossroads.